Trusted Herd Live. I'm your host, Brian Fox. We have a very, very, very special show for you today. Let's talk about it. One, it's Friday. Two, we're going to do a little something different today. A little bit of happy hour. So this, if you have a drink at home and you want to participate along, let us know. Drop it in the comments. Give us a like, a thumbs up. Whatever. Brian, what do you got? Tell the audience today.
Oh, I have this episode is brought to you by Guinness Strout Stout.
Right. So on that end, we're rocking the Guinness. This end, I found a little Blue Moon Tangerine Peel. I'll let you know how it is. So you've already kind of talked a little bit about it, but let's introduce our guest. He is the VP of Marketing and Business Development over at a company not too far away from where I'm coming to you live today, Turnkey DOT, Mr. Brian Moore.
Happy Friday, Trusted Herd. Thank you for having me.
Going off. Look at the crowd's going crazy.
I even put on jeans for everyone today, so you could feel special. I did not get the haircut, but I did put on jeans. First time in a month or so.
That's good. Yeah, so even better today, you guys got two Brians. So we're going to party today. It's Friday. We're going to learn a little bit about the story of Turnkey DOT. Woo!
You're not the only one.
This is not a good sign, and we're only 2 minutes in here, Brian. Turnkey DOT. If you're new to Trusted Herd Live, you might be aware there's a little bit of a pause going on in the event world right now. And I did think, wouldn't it be awesome if we could invite on these entrepreneurs and the people who've been at these companies since near the beginning and learn the story about them and hear the story that you might never know. Otherwise, you're just applying to a job for Turnkey DOT. So nice to know the people behind it. Nice to know what they do. Nice to know how they started. Nice to know how they got where they're at today. And, with no further ado, hello, everybody joining. We got Chantel in the house. She's got a crook and marker, so she's joining the happy hour. Max, Karen, Julie, Pennington, Ton, hit that like button. Let's have some fun today. So,
like it.
Brian, before we start, we got a little bit of a special surprise for everybody watching right now. If they hit that like button or that heart button or that share button, the share button counts as an extra entry. Tell them what they can win.
Oh, we've got a prize pack for you. Got a Starbucks gift card to put the coffee in. You got a little Showtime mug, some socks. It's still cold here in Chicago. We got some Turnkey mints that are shaped like trucks.
Nice.
Got a Corona bottle koozie. So, yeah, we've got a few nice things for you.
Very, very nice. So anybody can win that prize pack. Just go ahead and smash that like and the heart button or that share button. And we'll remind you, another 1 or 2 times in. Come on down. Miles Bell Brown, what's going on today? All right. So if you've been watching Trusted Herd Live, you know the first question of Trusted Herd Live has nothing to do with events. Brian, when you are not doing Turnkey DOT, when you're not running around an event site, tell the people, what do you enjoy doing?
Oh, absolutely. I am a big seeker to be an audience to live music, whether that's a corner bar or a venue. Always seeking the next concert or show or guy playing acoustic guitar. I'm also a big sports fan.
Yeah.
Missing out on the NCAA tournament was really tough. The break on the NBA season has been hard. The Last Dance has been a nice little surprise with Michael Jordan's story. But yeah, I mean, I just enjoy getting out, but I'm ready to socialize again. I play a lot of softball. For those not from Chicago, might be like, who plays softball? But I've been on the same softball team for the last 8 years, and it's a good time.
For your softball, do you play with the
16-inch, no gloves?
So for those of you who don't know, it's a little bit of a thing here in Chicago. There's 16-inch softball. You're not allowed to play with a glove. The ball is like this big, and the first inning, if it's hit to you, it really hurts.
Especially if it's springtime and 40 degrees.
Yeah. Good stuff. All great. All great. You are. Tell everybody, like, where is Turnkey DOT located? Where are you coming from today?
So we're right in the heart of, I would say, Goose Island, Lincoln Park area, right in the city of Chicago. We are in a newish at the beginning of 2020 warehouse. We're really excited about the space.
Yeah.
Has really given us a lot of the capability to offer other services of fulfillment and storing assets, marketing materials, vehicles, all that. So,
well, I've actually been to your office. Just
you've seen every step of the way.
I have actually, and I'm very honored to do that. Their office is amazing. It's a brand new facility. If you're familiar with Chicago, coming from downtown, it's in an area called Lincoln Park. It's probably about 10 minutes north of the city, like the Loop area. And the Apple store is right over there. I mean, there's one of Buffalo Wild Wings' big stores on Clybourne,
and the Goose Island Brewery, the tap room.
Goose Island, correct. So really awesome facility. I remember when I walked in there a couple of weeks ago, they had like this giant tent set up. It looked like a scene from a square dancing episode. But it's a great facility, and I know that they're going to grow into it. So, Brian, I mean, we've learned about what your hobbies are. We talked a little bit about how awesome your building is and where you guys work out of. But tell everybody, like, if I didn't know what Turnkey DOT was, and I didn't know you, I do know you spell your name with an I instead of a Y. Someone's already. What does Turnkey DOT do?
Sure. So, easiest way to put it, we are a nationwide event services group. So we take all the burdens and the headaches of event marketing and take that off our clients' hands. So our bread and butter is mobile tours and everything that goes into operating, putting brands on the road. So that includes providing the vehicle, the staff, the tour team, permits, insurance, and DOT operating authority, and then the account management of routing and logistics. So a lot of the stuff, the nitty gritty that the agencies and brands don't want to deal with, we take it off their plate.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the nitty gritty. There's so much legal behind it and regulation, which is why you need companies like Turnkey DOT to help you out on your program. So when you are working these big events anywhere throughout the US or even Canada, these are the guys that make it happen, right? Where the drivers are hitting their hours and making sure everything is tip top when it comes to vehicle and logistics. So, Brian, good overview of Turnkey DOT. I think you did a wonderful job. You're one for one so far. Second event related question. What were you doing before you got into the world of events?
So truthfully, I was kind of in the event world right out of the gates. I mean, pretty much saying yes to any opportunity I could get my hands on. In college, I had an internship at a sports marketing agency here in Chicago called Intersport, which was a lot of fun. Did everything from ticket sales to getting out to events and setting up. And then also while in college, I have no shame. Once again, anything I could get my hands on. I was part of the Radio Disney road crew, which was like putting on events of the shows that were happening for Radio Disney, like DJ sets, dances, getting the crowd pumped up all around Milwaukee and Chicago. So that was a lot of fun, the humble beginnings, until really getting into much larger tours and brand campaigns. The first real tour I was part of was around the marathon circuit and going to different races for Geico, Got Chocolate Milk, doing expo and on-course signage. So it's been a fun journey, and it's so fun to look back at really just all the different opportunities that led to now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have been in the Disney Plus app nonstop.
There you go.
Choose anything else, and I don't think I've seen you in there yet. So I gotta dig around a little bit deeper to find Brian Moore.
Well, this was a while ago. Let's go back to like Hannah Montana and High School Musical. So.
They got a vault section. Okay, I got to dig into. Cool. So, and just for everyone to know, you joined Turnkey DOT not too far after, but Brian Killian was the founder. And so I want to talk a little bit about, first for you, what was your first experience in the world of event marketing?
So so we're bringing up the photos. So this is going back to what I was saying, the marathon circuit. Did I lose you, Brian?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think I lost you. I don't know if the story was told.
I don't know if the story was told either. Again, we got high production value here. Try to get a little fancy with all the pictures. So we will not do that again. But for everyone else, let's tell it real quick. So this was one of your first event experiences. You were the
Yes. Long story short, no shame to get in a mascot suit. Started the Las Vegas Marathon, sprinted to get that picture with the elite runners, and for about 50 yards, and then veered off to the side.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, and definitely a memory I won't forget.
No, that is very, very cool. I have to imagine you were probably very nervous. Like, were you more nervous at the starting line, or the elite runners were more nervous?
Like I said, I was just making sure I was not on SportsCenter's not top 10 of taking out the projected winner that day. So I was certainly nervous, but I was also sweating my ass off because you are just like drenched in there and you can't see your surroundings. You can't hear that much. So you're kind of in your own world, and someone's just like, listen for a gunshot and run. So, it was great.
Both of those pictures are very cool. I like the profile one because you are at the front of the pack. So that's an amazing picture. Let's see here. And then, all right, so let's hide these guys. Let's drop them off the screen. And let's talk about the other, the founder of Turnkey DOT, Mr. Brian Killian.
A third Brian, look at that.
We now have 3 Brians on the screen. Look at that Brian right there. I know he's not, he's watching right now, so he's probably shaking his head. But great picture right there. Young man. Want to show, let's see. Do you have anything to say about this picture, Brian, before we move?
That it's amazing.
It is amazing.
No, it's really remarkable looking at, so this is Brian Killian, our president, who I joined to kind of build this business. And truly, I say out of the gates, from 17 years old, he was doing every promo that you could possibly get your hands on and promoting himself and the brand to get in front of agencies and just build that resume. I don't know if you have that, his promo of himself, but
let's see what we got here. So here it is.
There we go. This is great. I mean, for all the tour managers, brand ambassadors that are watching right now, I mean, I don't think it really gets better than this. Brian took this brochure that he created for himself and put it in an envelope and sent it out to the top agencies around the country with a key in the envelope. And it said, "Let me be the key to the success of your next event." So, I mean, just take the chances. Don't have the fear of striking out. And really, I think this is just wonderful of how we are where we are today and how it has grown from just putting yourself out there and not being scared to take these calculated risks.
And Brian, for everyone to know, is this the moment that Turnkey DOT was born, or this is just Brian as like a self promo at this moment?
This is Brian at probably 18 years old, doing promos, getting on the road, making his name known within agencies just to build opportunities to start something bigger before the idea of Turnkey even had existed.
That's awesome. Gosh, when I was working, even just years ago, I think that there is something in a very, very digital world that we're in right now, right? There is something to physical mail. There is something to receiving a postcard or a flyer or whatever it is. And I think for anybody watching out there, right, coming out of what we're going through right now, gosh, make 100 of these of your best, get a graphic designer to do it and send it out to agencies you want to work with. I think that's an incredible idea. And I bet you would at least get a handful that message you back.
And it's just the little things that put you above your competitor, whether it's a brand ambassador, an agency, a tour manager. It's the little things that just help you stand out because not everyone's doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you're just joining us, we're here with Brian Moore, VP of Marketing and Biz Dev over at Turnkey DOT. It's Friday. We're doing a little bit of a happy hour, so grab your favorite beverage. Join us for the next 20 minutes or so. We're learning the story behind Turnkey DOT. You also have a prize pack that Turnkey DOT is offering up to the audience right now. So all you got to do is smash that heart button and that like button and the share button. Each one of those gets you another entry. You got a Showtime mug you can win, a Starbucks gift card, a mint tin that has little chunks of Turnkey DOT inside of them. Very cool. So Brian's going to show you real quick, so make sure you're doing that. Brian, let's talk a little bit about when was the moment that Brian Killian said, "You know what? I think I want to start a company."
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. Obviously, we shared that he was a tour manager, brand ambassador on the road. There was a recognized divide between marketing agencies, brands, and I think the nitty-gritty we talked about of DOT compliance and what goes into mobile tours. Candidly, I mean, a lot of people that get their degrees in business, marketing, they go to an agency and they are coming up with the big ideas, the creativity, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, and they're really good at that. But then when it hits the road and it comes to permits and kind of those burdens that you have to think about, it's not something everyone wants to deal with. So Brian Killian took the initiative to start a DOT number to have operating authority while he was on the road, and took on a tour for Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs through Intersport, and that's how we really made the connection as well. So I think you might have a picture of that. There you go. So this was more or less a traveling carnival. You've got the inflatable slide, the skee ball, knocking down the pins, some pop and shot, and then sampling of the Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs. And so this was the first true client. So Brian Killian was on the road as a tour manager while building the business and looking for other opportunities to organize other tours and take on that operating authority.
This is very, very cool. You did say something, Brian, that I would imagine that many people are wondering about is you said Brian started his own DOT number. Is that as easy as me going on Amazon and buying something, or what goes into starting a DOT number?
Sure. I would not say that. I think everything from getting the proper insurance, getting the DOT operating authority, and doing things the right way, there is a calculated risk, once again, of getting that set, especially while you're on the road as well, and everything else that goes into, starting a company.
Yeah.
In addition to and making that happen. Meanwhile, while you're setting up and doing these events and communicating with drivers, a lot of what we do, we've got tour managers on the road that you have full trust in them to represent our company and the brand as well. And those are kind of the lifeblood out there. So it is not just clicking a button of buy on Amazon. A lot more goes into it than people might think to have operating authority.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Karen Aguirre, she just said, I was a BA for that tour. I remember they were at Imperial Beach, California. I also remember forgetting my favorite water bottle by the stainless steel fridge. So,
it might still be there.
Karen, I hope you found a new favorite stainless steel water bottle. As we're talking to Brian here, we're going to go over some more projects that Turnkey DOT has done. I think they're really cool. I think it's a very visual business. And so if you do have questions as we're talking, this man knows a lot. His name is Brian. I trust that. So feel free to drop them in the comments section and we'll ask Brian what those are. So really, Nathan's Hot Dogs was really the first client of Turnkey DOT, correct?
Correct.
Super. And I don't know if we asked this or if you had mentioned it, but what was the purpose of Brian for starting Turnkey DOT?
Like I mentioned, there was just that divide between, I'd say, agencies and brands trying to do mobile tours on their own. I'll be honest, we get a lot of oh shit calls where marketing agencies or brands, they take commercial vehicles on the road, and maybe they call us before and say like, hey, we heard about you, like, do we have things set up to do this? And we're like, well, not exactly. There's a bit more that goes into it with DOT operations and commercial insurance and having a CDL driver, a DOT driver. And they say, okay, great. And then they start their tour without using us. And then like, we're stuck on the side. We're stuck on the side of the road in Albuquerque. How quickly can you get us to our event? We have 2 days.
Yeah.
So really just taking those burdens off the brands and the agencies and let them do what they do well. The agencies do a really good job of coming up with the concepts of recognizing who the audience is, bringing this great idea, going to this event because it makes sense, but then let us have you forget about anything that goes into on the road and account management with routing and logistics and everything that goes to that end.
Yeah, no. And I should mention real quick, because you did say, for all of our viewers watching in Albuquerque and New Mexico right now or later, I've been to Mexico a handful of times. I would love to be stuck there. It is a beautiful, beautiful state. If you've never been, please go. New Mexico, true. Okay, moving on. Turnkey DOT, I think it makes a lot of sense, but do you know where the name came from?
Absolutely. I'd say our name is pretty to the point. When a lot of people will, no doubt about it, call us Turnkey DOT, I don't get offended. It just means that you aren't ready to run a mobile tour. And so it means Department of Transportation for all of you that do not know. Like I said, we operate mobile tours. And a lot of people look at this as a huge headache, and so we try to make it as turnkey as possible. Hence the our logo here, which you can see in the bottom corner. It is the road which in the O you see can serve as a little tunnel, but also a keyhole. So or turnkey. So if you don't even know, you're saying Turnkey DOT, you can see that it's Department of Transportation with the road going through the tunnel. The key to your success.
That is very, very good. You know, it took me many, many years to realize that the FedEx logo had an arrow in it.
Yeah.
I love looking at logos and seeing things that I didn't notice before. So good stuff on the name, good stuff on the logo. We talked about the first client, and this is also kind of where, go ahead.
A shout out to that. If you look at the colors, we got to give tribute to our first client.
Nathan's Hot Dogs. Makes me think of baseball season and
I hope.
Right? So this is also where your story comes into Turnkey DOT. And before we get to that, how long have you known Brian?
I would say Brian and I were talking regularly for about 2 years, until maybe 6 months before starting. There were late night conversations. Brian can be a very persuasive man of saying, let's do this thing.
And did you meet him at an event, or did you guys just cross paths somewhere?
So I was working at Intersport, and he was doing the Nathan's Famous tour.
Okay.
And so basically, I knew him from being a tour manager that was building on this, and I was kind of helping be a liaison of like other opportunities of tour management. So he had guys in the industry, girls in the industry that were CDL drivers, tour managers, brand ambassadors that could help out with programs. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is a perfect fit for you.
Nice, nice. And so your path comes in here, and this is where we enter Vice Media, correct?
Yeah, I would say Viceland was the comfort to make me feel like, let's really go after this thing. It's a really funny, I'll try to keep it short story. Brian had been providing drivers for the Viceland bus to go to different big events and run under the Turnkey DOT operating authority. And we had talked about, like, we could do more than that and help them out with getting venues, permits, and making these events really come to life. So I took a sick day from my job and flew out to New York with Brian to do this pitch to really say, we can be your event agency to really blow this thing up.
Yeah.
So flew out to New York. We were running around New York City. We wanted to do it right. And so we had it all lined up to do this bakery and get cookies that looked like the bus and stop sign. So once we arrived, we realized it wasn't like a storefront bakery. It was like a factory, and all the cookies, they were not ready. They had to dry. And so like we went and ran around the city, and like we had 1 hour till the meeting. We're like beating sweat. I'm in like a suit, which doesn't fit Viceland at all, by the way. And I just remember going in this like factory's like small bathroom, looking in like a plate-sized mirror, like beating sweat, trying to look all right with a mop and bucket next to me. Anyway, we get to the meeting, kind of start going through this pitch. And I don't know if you're familiar with Desus and Mero. They're on Showtime now. They were on Viceland. They walk in to the meeting and they're like, are these weed cookies? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is very much Viceland, hence the picture.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, guys, I'm trying to do a pitch here, but like at the same time, I'm like, this is kind of cool and settling my nerves a little. And then once they leave, oh my gosh, what is his name? Paul Scheer from the league. If you know him with the gap teeth.
Yeah.
And he's like, can I grab one of those cookies? I'm like, guys, you're interrupting my pitch here.
That's incredible, though. I mean,
yeah, long story short, we got back to work the next day, and we had to put on a large parking lot Comic-Con event with James Vanderbeek 3 weeks later and create this whole experiential platform with the Viceland bus.
Yeah, that is very, very cool. I want to tell everybody, for those of you watching from the non-agency side, especially event worker side, like, I can only imagine the nerves that you and Brian had going into that meeting, because I remember the first time we pitched a client at their office, and it's very there's this feeling of you're never prepared enough, right? And you want everything to go right. You want to show that you've put your time in the research, and you can tell very early if like that other side of the table is into it or they're very disinterested.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing that you guys had that story, especially with Paul Scheer. I love that.
I mean, and it was a blast doing these events. They pushed the limits. I mean, look at the picture you're sharing. We did an event called Smoke Weed with Jeff Sessions.
Yeah.
It was literally, they wanted to we mobile billboarded with that bus, just driving around DC for a month. And if you don't know Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, he is very anti marijuana, cannabis. And we found a guy in Wisconsin named Jeff Sessions.
Oh my God.
Found a mansion that we made sure everything was compliant and followed the DC regulations and the permitting, and basically threw a small party to smoke weed with Jeff Sessions. So
when we're looking at this bus, this is not the real. This is not like the Senator Jeff Sessions that everyone knew. This is just Jeff Sessions.
This was a man named Jeff Sessions from Wisconsin.
Fantastic. This is so good.
And I actually found, prepping for this, our pitch that we were going through. So I'll hold on to this for a long time.
Yeah, I would love one day, maybe after Trusted Herd, I'd love to reach out to agencies and get like all the pitch decks, and obviously clients would have to buy in, but I think that you could make this incredible coffee book table out of just and renders and all of that. So very, very cool. And then let's get to what's the next tour we're going to talk about here?
We could go into CEO action. I mean, whatever you want. There we go.
Let's do it. Tell all the wonderful people what's going on in this picture. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, this is ongoing right now. So years later from Viceland, this is the CEO Action Check Your Blind Spots tour. I'm sure a lot of brand ambassadors that are part of the industry are familiar with this. We did 116 stops last year.
Wow.
And we were not in charge of the brand ambassador staffing, but we have our tour team of 5 people. So a driver, a tour manager, and 3 tour coordinators.
Wow.
It is that bus, a truck and trailer, and an SUV.
Okay.
And this tour is really cool. I mean, a lot of us know the marketing platform as giving out a sample or having a call to action like, check out our rates. We have great rates. This was a kind of a brainchild of PwC's CEO, Tim Ryan, and he wanted other CEOs of Fortune 500 companies to take a pledge to recognize that we have an unconscious bias, whether we realize it or not. Where we grew up, we should check our blind spots.
Yeah.
We should recognize that we have a bias, and just be able to take a pledge that we are going to do something about that moving forward. So this goes to corporate campuses, where employees can recognize that their CEO took this pledge and come out and go through the whole experience. It goes to signature events like a Pitchfork, a Comic-Con, South by Southwest, and then it goes to college campuses as well. And so the whole inside of the bus is this experience of kind of going through certain circumstances of, do I have an unconscious bias, and like, am I recognizing that, and I can take the pledge to move forward. So it's cool. I mean, our staff, this is an example of some of these guys have been on the road for over a year, just really road dogs, and being able to be the front lines of this and get the messaging. And one really unique thing about this is you don't want to screw up this messaging. This is important stuff, and it's not just handing out a candy bar or whatnot. Not that that's not important either, but every single week, our team has to submit mock interviews for the PR team to say, okay, because we need to be camera ready. So if someone comes up and say, tell me about this tour, our team, our CDL drivers, our tour managers, our tour coordinators, they're ready to talk to ABC News or a local newspaper about the right talking points and not just say, oh, it's a bus, go check it out.
Right. No, I love programs like this too, because it is so much bigger, right? And like you said, not that there's anything wrong with giving out a food and beverage sample or something like that. Like these are life lesson type programs that I think when you have companies that want to get behind that and bring it to so many places, like when you just told it to me, check your blind spot, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, Turnkey DOT, this makes sense. We're talking about driving on the road, being on the highway, looking over my left shoulder. But so much bigger and meaningful and impactful to everybody. Very cool. So we have one more program here that we can talk about. And I want, before I show the picture, how did this client come about for you guys? Because I like this story.
This is kind of right place, right time. I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to just like take the credit and say like I went through this long pitch process, but we were in a shared workspace and they had a training facility across the hall, and I kind of nosed my way into a happy hour and tried to find the right person because they were having like a grand opening for technicians. And the company, I don't know if all you'd be familiar, they're up and coming. They're called Hydra Facial. They offer a very high-end facial that really makes you glow. And they've patented the technology. And so we took a mobile spa on the road. And once again, this is a team of 4 that put together this tour that we had, I believe, 17 stops last year inside that glass box truck. There are 4 different spa treatments that you can come. The reservations go pretty quick. People wait in line for a couple hours to just get this treatment because it is not cheap to get a free Hydra Facial. So we were going to just high traffic areas, high end areas, and it was cool. So much different than other tours once again. And their objective is to not only get the Hydra Facial name out there to consumers, but also to spas and doctors' offices that can have the Hydra Facial treatment in their centers and their spas.
So this is not a consumer product good. This is something that is sold in spas. Is that correct?
It's really both. So you can, as a consumer, you can go to a let's just say Mario Giacosi or a spa, and you can get the treatment and you pay for it. But really, where they're winning is being able to sell in they have the technology of like these suckers that get all your pores cleaned and everything. And so doctors' offices or dermatologists or these spas will buy the machines to have and be able to offer the Hydra Facial. So it's twofold.
Got it. We got, Michelle here. She's saying she's gotten Hydra Facials before, usually around $200. Brian, looking at you through the camera, I can tell you are a man of Hydra Facials. Skin looks impeccable today.
They were a nice neighbor.
Everybody, if you're just joining, we're here with Brian Moore, VP of Marketing and Biz Dev over at Turnkey DOT. They're based here in Chicago. They do events and activations all throughout the U.S. We just went through a couple of their programs, and thank you, Brian, for walking us through those real quick. You've got to click a couple more questions. Then if anyone has any audience questions that you want to ask, feel free to drop them in the comments section. We'll answer a couple of those at the end. So whether it's related to programs or anything you just saw or DOT stuff, please drop it in the comments because I want to get Brian out of here on tough questions. Brian, team is important, right? you guys have grown pretty quickly in 4 years. What does team mean to Turnkey DOT?
Everything, really. I mean, we're lucky to have a group of, I would say, like humble rock stars. And I mean, I think that's one of the most important parts. I mean, from just some of the pictures you shared, from the top down, no one is really above any given task. We've all had our days of starting at 3 a.m. and sweating before the sun comes up. And we've really developed kind of a family type atmosphere. And during this time, I won't speak for everyone, but I miss seeing everyone's face in the office. It's I'm excited to get back into the swing of things and see everyone smiling here. And then, I mean, beyond our office team that are managing accounts and our clients, our team on the road, we have one hell of a team. And I mean, it can't be underestimated by any means. We have this core staff that's incredibly loyal to us, and we are incredibly loyal to them, and kind of have that expectation. And I mean, being in the field, I think I mentioned this, but like you're the first line of defense. You're the first impression for any brand ambassador, tour manager, tour coordinator. It just can't be undervalued. And it truly is. If a consumer's coming up, if a client is coming up, you're not only representing Turnkey DOT for us to our client, but representing the brand and having the brand messaging. Sure. It was so cool. This past Christmas, we flew in all of our tour team, and we had the account team all under one roof, and we're able to have a party. It's you don't see the team that's sweating and grinding on the road and staying in the hotels 300 days a year. And it's just nice to have that party at the end of the year, to have everyone together when you may have only seen them once or twice that year, but you're talking to them every day.
Right. It's so important because everyone, whether you are seeing them every day or you are seeing them twice a year, you're all a team, right? And you're all pulling your weight and doing your part. So love that. You guys have done some pretty big stuff in 4 years. From, we're not talking like a 10 by 10 setting up out there at the Taste of Randolph. I mean, you guys have done some really, really big vehicles. Is there like a secret to Turnkey DOT that you feel has made you guys get where you're at today so quickly?
Sure. I would say I'm going to go back to my high school speech teacher. He would always say, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. And I think this point kind of goes across the board of a lot of industries. We are a company based on processes and procedures, and like really leaving no room for error. So just being able to follow those processes and procedures, really just going the extra mile too. I mean, don't settle and be complacent. Don't do something that just because don't wait to be asked to do something, but like come up with an idea on your own. And I think all of us are always thinking of, especially during this time, what's the next step for us? Like how can we branch out? How can we be better?
Yeah. No, that's really good. How about, because you do work with a lot of workers out in the field, right? Whether they're your team or you guys are, you have a program or two that's hiring a couple of brand ambassadors. Like, if you have one piece of advice for event workers that are watching now, tomorrow, later, what would it be? What would you share?
I would say continue to just grow your resume. Don't stay satisfied with like what you're doing every day. If you're a brand ambassador, I mean, look into getting your medical card so you can do tours with a Sprinter van or a box truck. It's not hard to go to immediate physicians and get a medical card to take that next step. If you have your medical card, maybe look into getting your CDL. That's a little bit more work, but if you're looking for this as a career to continue, look out for that opportunity. And then lastly, like, just continue to have conversations, put yourself out there, and you gotta take calculated risks. I mean, look at the example I showed before. Brian Killian was sending out envelopes and brochures of himself with a key in it to just get in front of people and create that network. The more conversations you have, the more people are gonna think of you for their next opportunity.
Yeah, it's such a good point. Let's see here. You've brought up some points, and we're kind of at the end here. So if anyone does have audience questions, drop them in right now. Great time to do so, because in 7 minutes you might not have a time to do that. Brian, we've Turnkey DOT, Turnkey DOT, as we like to call it. It is about a core of your business is being a CDL driver. If you are just a normal brand ambassador, normal by you don't have a CDL already or anything, what are those steps? Like you said, it's easy to get a medical card. What does that mean to me? Like, what is a medical card? Do I just go to my doctor and get a physical? What is that process for someone who wants to start exploring that?
Sure. So to get a medical card, then you can drive a DOT vehicle, not anything over 26,000 pounds, but you can do tours with a Sprinter van or a box truck. And it really is just going to get like a physical and showing that you are healthy to take on the road and operate a vehicle, and you kind of have those things in place. There are a lot of other things that we look for in a tour manager, but that's like the nitty gritty for just being a DOT driver. When you go into getting your CDL, it certainly is the next step and a little bit more work. That's going to school. It really, interestingly enough, it has to do with where you live. So it could go state by state. If you are getting your CDL in North Carolina, you might have to go to class for 4 weeks. That is a writing portion. It's a behind the wheel portion. And then if you're getting it in a totally different state, it could be a totally different process that might be much easier. I see someone asked in the comments how much that costs. It really does vary state by state. It could be anywhere from maybe $3,000 to $5,000. So you are making an investment in yourself, but you're also giving yourself further opportunity if tour managing is something that you really want to pursue as a career.
That's really good. And I think I have 2 follow-up questions for you. One, we live in Chicago, right? State of Illinois. Sounds like you can get it through different states, right? Can I look at Wisconsin across the border and go, well, $1,500 cheaper to get my DOT in Wisconsin? Can I go do it up there, or does it have to be in the state that you reside?
For DOT medical card, I mean, you can get that wherever you want. I remember I got mine, I was like on a program and I got mine to drive a truck like while I was out there in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
The CDL, that is a different story. I actually would have to get back to our audience on that. Yeah, you stumped me. You said you'd give me a hard question. That is something I'd have to get back to you on, if it has to be in your state or not. I believe it does.
Okay.
And also, you need to commit yourself to potentially 4 weeks wherever you are. So if you really want to move to another state for those 4 weeks and it's easier, perhaps go for it.
Will you promise us that you will find the answer and come back to this video in the Facebook group and drop that
you got it.
answer in? Perfect. What was the other question that I had for you? Are there levels of being a CDL driver? Like I see different CDL classifications, right? There's something like that too, right?
Yeah, so a CDLA driver basically can drive pretty much anything. I mean, there are like technical things like hazmat. I mean, we don't deal with anything hazmat related. That is a different portion you'd have to get into. There's also a passenger endorsement. So that'd be someone who drives a school bus and you can carry passengers and have that license to do so. A Class B driver, that is another certification. I would advise anyone who is getting their CDL just to go for a CDLA, because you're kind of covering all your bases. If you're going to go through the process, just do the top one, so you don't have to like go back and get additional certifications. Just get it all done right off the bat.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And it does bring up a really important point, and especially right now, right? When we do have this time, like I think so many people talk about, hey, brush up your resume, brush up your, get a certification for doing ServSafe or liquor demos, brush up that trusted herd profile. But this is an opportunity for you guys. Like, if this is of interest to you, right? Especially if you want to start getting into tours, and you have a great personality, getting a CDL is a really, really, really good idea. I mean, I can't tell you, all the programs that I've been on in 15 years that, sometimes CDL drivers, they're not the most friendly people, or they're not the warmest people, right? And there is just something to being able to have that asset for you to sell yourself more. So if
you always like to say we are more than just truck drivers, and that is that says the very minimum. We're a lot more.
Brian, why couldn't you just said that 30 seconds ago instead of listening to me start to get to that point? So that would have been much better. We're not just truck drivers. So if you have a great personality and you've been thinking about maybe getting your CDL, go out there, go do some research, because it is such an asset to have. So Friday, 4:23 Central, 5:23 Eastern. I'm not going to go through Mountain and Pacific and Hawaiian time. But Brian, this has been so much fun. Everybody, if you're watching this video and you've made it towards this moment, and you haven't hit that like or heart button or that share button, each one of those that you hit, Brian will come back maybe by Monday morning. So we'll give you like 70 hours to do it. Hit those buttons because you're entered for a little prize pack that Turnkey DOT will send you. Brian, would you like to leave the people with any words of wisdom on this wonderful Friday evening that we're about to approach, or the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for anyone who's with us here that is thinking about being a tour manager, a tour coordinator, visit our website, mobiletours.com. There's a Drive For Us section, and you can apply. If you're interested, feel free to absolutely reach out. Take this time. I mean, there are have the conversations. Thank you, Brian. People are going to be receptive to talking more probably than ever. I mean, certainly more than the beginning of the year, because the time is there, and just don't be scared to take these calculated risks. If you're in Chicago, stop by our warehouse. We would love to meet you. So introduce yourself and say hi. And we're pretty active on social media. So on Instagram, Turnkey Mobile Tours. On Facebook, it's just Turnkey DOT. But yeah, if you're seriously considering kind of taking this time to be a tour manager and want to get in with a good company, just visit our website and apply.
Yeah, really, really great people. Brian, it's so nice to have you here and share the Turnkey DOT story and all the visuals and all of that. Everybody, I just started adding a couple of the events for next week. I still got to get to Thursday and Friday in the Facebook group. However, great lineup for next week. Monday, we have Bethany and Paul of Busy Bee Promotions. They have been in the business a very, very long time. I think Paul started Busy Bee back in 1998. So it'll be really great to hear his story, especially as their industry has evolved, because they are very heavy into natural and organic food demos too. Tuesday, we have, who is Tuesday? Sarah from Eris Promotions up in the Wisconsin area. So anyone who has ever done any liquor or demos with Eris in the Midwest, we're going to have her on the show on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have Jack Shannon, a very, very cool event company called Recess that gets into colleges and universities and booking space. It'll be cool to have him on here. And then Thursday, Lucy with JBC Reach. And Friday, we have Jordan with Gorilla Roots Marketing. And then next week, we got a slate as well. So all really, really good stuff. Thank you all for tuning in to Trusted Herd Live. This has been a blast. I enjoy doing these every day, except Saturday and Sunday. We're on a break. And so please enjoy your weekend. Stay healthy. Have fun. And we will catch you all Monday. I think the start time is around 4:15 for Busy Bee. So take care, everybody. Thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you. Cheers.